Let's advance to the concepts of water security. Water security is a concept frequently used by the United Nations, and is defined as the capacity of a population to safeguard sustainable access to adequate quantities of acceptable quality water for sustaining livelihoods, human well-being, and socioeconomic development, for ensuring protection against waterborne pollution and water-related disasters, and for preserving ecosystems in a climate of peace and political stability. Then you will see that it is a comprehensive concept that again includes human well-being, but also extends socioeconomic elements and elements of governance such as peace and political stability. In many United Nations publications you will see this infographic that summarizes some key elements of water security. You will see some core elements associated with drinking water and human well-being. Populations have access to safe, sufficient, and affordable water to meet basic needs. This is also related with sanitation and hygiene, health, and well-being. Ecosystems are recognized as a fundamental part of the water security process, and therefore their conservation is very important so that they can provide ecosystem services. Water-related hazard and climate change. In this case, we look for resilience in events such as floods or droughts. And finally, there are the economic and development values. We need water for food and energy production, for industrial development, transport, and tourism. And also, in this infographic you will see other elements more associated with governance such as transboundary cooperation, financing, peace and political stability, and good governance. But here again, I want you to think that this concept goes a little further and leads us to think that the concept of water security is really associated with learning to live with an acceptable level of water risk. It is probably the most important concept in water security. Water security is the capacity of societies to achieve successful and comprehensive management of their resources and water services, to meet the needs of each of the dimensions covered by water security. So, let's quickly see the 5 dimensions that water security considers. First one, rural household water security. The provision of sufficient, safe, physically accessible, and affordable water and sanitation services for health and livelihoods, coupled with an acceptable level of water-related risk in rural households. Second dimension, economic water security. The assurance of adequate water to sustainably satisfy a country's economic growth and avoid economic losses due to water-induced disasters. Third dimension, urban water security. Safely managed and affordable water and sanitation services for urban communities to sustainably achieve desired outcomes. Fourth dimension, environmental water security. The health of rivers, wetlands, and groundwater systems and measured progress on restoring aquatic ecosystems to health on a national and regional scale. And finally, water-related disaster security. Recent exposure to water-related disasters, vulnerability to those disasters, and capacity to resist and bounce back. These dimensions of water security are interrelated, but also the dimension associated with environmental water security is really the support for the other dimensions. If we don't have healthy ecosystems, we can't have security in the other dimensions. As a summary, rural household water security is related with access to water supply, access to sanitation, health impacts, affordability. Economic water security related with broad economy, agriculture, energy, industry. Urban water security related with access to water supply, access to sanitation, affordability, drainage, floods, environment. Environmental water security related with catchment and aquatic system health and environmental governance. And water-related disaster security related with climatological risk droughts, hydrological risk flooding, and meteorological risk storms. In a very interesting publication by Martinez Austria in 2013, he explores some of the challenges of water security. He identifies 5 main challenges for water security in the short term. Water scarcity. water contamination, extreme events, water conflicts, and environmental deterioration in basins and aquifers. And he also discusses some risk factors or risk triggers, for example, demography associated with population growth and urbanization, food production, food demand growth and diet changes, energy associated with energy demand growth and biofuels, climate change with risk factors such as less precipitation, glacial melt, extreme weather events, sea level rise, and finally poor water management associated with water contamination, deficiencies in the legal framework, institutional deficiencies, and poor governance. So, this is just to illustrate that we have many challenges in water security, and that this concept is important. So we really need frameworks to address this water security challenges.